You've probably swatted an ant without a second thought. Just another bug on the trail. But deep in a rainforest, one ant is climbing a stem it will never climb back down. Something inside its head is steering. And that something isn't the ant anymore. The obvious answer is that the ant just got sick and wandered off to die, the way any sick animal might. But the real answer is far stranger. It's being remote controlled from the inside by something that was never part of its body in the first place. The culprit is a fungus called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. Its spores drift down onto the rainforest floor and land on a foraging carpenter ant going about its normal day. Within hours, the spore germinates and burrows straight through the ant's exoskeleton, slipping past its natural armor like a needle through fabric. No bite, no sting, just contact. Here's where it gets interesting. For decades, scientists assumed the fungus attacked the brain directly, hijacking the ant's mind the way a virus might hijack a computer's operating system. It made intuitive sense. Control the brain, control the body. But that theory doesn't hold up. Entomologist David Hughes at Penn State studied infected ants under a microscope and found something far stranger. The fungal cells spread everywhere except the brain. Instead, they surround the ant's muscles, threading through its body like wires wrapped around every limb. The brain stays completely intact, untouched, and functionally useless, like a driver locked in the back seat while something else grips the wheel. Think about what that means. The ant isn't being told what to do by its own mind anymore. Its mind is a passenger. The fungus has taken over the machinery directly, muscle by muscle, without ever needing to touch the control panel at all. Around solar noon, precisely, not randomly, the infected ant is driven to leave its colony. It wanders away from the nest and begins to climb nearby vegetation. Not to any height, to one very specific height and humidity level, usually about 25 centimeters off the ground, in exactly the microclimate the fungus needs to grow. Scientists have found that ants infected in different regions climb to different, but oddly consistent heights, precisely tuned to whatever climate conditions exist in that specific patch of forest. Once it reaches the right spot, the ant clamps its jaws around a leaf vein in what researchers call the death grip, a bite so strong the mandibles lock in place permanently. Even after the ant dies, its jaws stay clenched, welded shut by its own muscle fibers hardening around the vein. It will never let go again. Scientists call this entire sequence of behaviors an extended phenotype, a term coined by biologist Richard Dawkins. It's a fancy way of describing something simple. A gene's effects don't stop at the edge of the organism carrying it. The fungus's genes are expressing themselves through the ant's body, the same way your genes express themselves through your own muscles and bones, except this time, the genes belong to a completely different species. The ant has become an extension of the fungus, a temporary body built and discarded for one purpose alone. Days after the death grip locks in, a long stalk erupts from the back of the ant's head, splitting through the exoskeleton like a tiny antenna reaching for the sky. Within another week or two, the tip ruptures and rains spores down onto the forest floor below, exactly where other foraging ants are guaranteed to walk past. The location wasn't random. Neither was the timing. Every detail of this process, the height, the humidity, the grip, the spore drop, has been fine-tuned by millions of years of evolution to maximize the odds of infecting the next ant that wanders by. Here's the twist that makes this even eerier. Ant colonies didn't just sit back and let this happen. Over time, they evolved their own defense. Colonies of Camponotus leonardi, a common host species, developed the ability to detect infected nestmates before symptoms even fully show, often by smell or subtle changes in behavior. Healthy ants will physically pick up an infected nestmate and carry it far away from the colony, sometimes hundreds of body lengths away, well outside the zone where spores could reach the nest. It's a kind of ancient biological quarantine, practiced by insects with no hospitals, no scientists, and no understanding of pathogens the way we do. Just instinct refined over evolutionary time, protecting the group at the cost of individual convenience. Some researchers argue this pattern shows early evidence of what's sometimes called social immunity, the idea that an entire colony can behave like a single immune system, sacrificing pieces of itself to keep the whole intact. And this isn't a one-off freak of nature. Ophiocordyceps has hundreds of known species, each one specialized to infect a specific species of ant, and sometimes even specific colonies within a rainforest, evolving side by side with its host in a slow, silent arms race that's been running for tens of millions of years. Fossil evidence, including ancient leaf fossils with death grip bite marks, shows this exact behavior happening at least 48 million years ago, long before anything resembling a human ever walked the earth. So the next time something in your life feels like it's steering you toward a decision that isn't really yours, whether it's a habit, a craving, or a pull you can't quite explain, remember the zombie ant. Its body kept walking long after its mind had checked out. Its legs kept climbing long after its own will had gone quiet. This final march up that stem wasn't a choice. It was a hijacking with roots, and by the time anyone noticed, the fungus had already won.